Hey guys, welcome back to Astrea's Broken Hearts, Season 3, Episode 2, and we're here in Malek's actual point of view because I think last time we did Cassio, David, and Mikael, so I'm thinking they're kind of going to go into maybe Malek, Felonia, and Raphael this episode. I'm not certain. I assume because they generally do that. The first couple episodes, you veer into some of the people, then you go into the other people, to give everybody kind of a time. So maybe we'll get some hints about Malek's situation, and also since we're dealing with one of Malek's followers, I figure maybe we can get some extra information. I don't know. Maybe she'll have an extra reaction. Who knows? Episode 2, The Observer. Okay, let's go. Warning. This episode contains descriptions of violence and death. Please read on with caution. Where are we? Oh, this is the guy next door. Cross street. Whatever. The apartment looked like the inner world of its owner, only turned inside out. There was barely any light coming through the grimy, dust-covered windows, much like his clouded mind. Chaos reigned, consisting mostly of trash and old stains. Come this way. The young man nervously swept newspaper clippings off the couch and onto the floor, exposing the worn, greasy fabric to his guest. But no one paid any attention to his lack of tidiness or the stale smells. All eyes were fixed on the wall, a reflection of the owner's true fixation. He's obsessed. The image of the woman who now gently swayed in a noose outside the window was frozen in time. Glossy photos captured the most unremarkable moments of her life. Here she was leaving her house. There she was returning, catching a cab, tossing a finished coffee cup into a trash bin. A quality lens had captured her smile, the faint wrinkle between her brows, the raindrops on her skin. Simple things caught under extraordinary circumstances. The man who had sheltered them was searching for something in the mundane that only he could understand. It was disturbingly eerie. Buddy, if you were in love with her, I've got bad news for you. At this unexpected suggestion, the young man quickly lost all his stiffness and shyness. He stared at David and nervously adjusted his glasses as he replied, "In love? She's a demon spawn that must be cleansed from the earth immediately." Well, thank God. In that case, I've got good news. The object of your surveillance is hanging under the windows of your house. We need to keep an eye on her anymore. She's not going anywhere. The shock that everyone was expecting didn't come. In fact, this information didn't seem to impress him at all. You didn't just barge into her house for no reason, did you? You know she's one of them. If I don't take matters in my own hands, this will keep going in circles. She has to make an effort to look away from the pictures. What's your name? Call me Falcon. God, is that his code name? Fine, Falcon. Tell me, what compelled you to spy on your neighbor? What did you know about that woman? What was going on in her apartment? Her name is Rosalia. She's 27 and she works as a receptionist for Malek Center. The young man stuttered and casually corrected himself. Worked. She had no relatives. Her grandmother raised her, but she died 5 years ago. She liked pumpkin spice lattes and didn't eat meat. She liked to watch romantic drama movies, though she wasn't in a relationship. She often had migraines, but her test always came back normal. She watched pornography twice a week, favoring the professor-student category with elements of dacrophilia. Dacrophilia? A form of sexual arousal triggered by tears or crying. Read it, please. It's 3 a.m. Why I'm recording at 3 a.m. when I should be sleeping? Don't ask me. necrophiliac. Interesting. Okay. Alright, I got it. Please don't continue. Fine, Falcon. Tell me my keen intuition for this kind of thing. When she moved in next door, I could clearly smell the stench of decay coming from her. Melody was too embarrassed to point out the smell of his apartment, which seemed to have settled on her skin like an unpleasant film. David, on the other hand, proved far less tactful. With a wince, he remarked, "Well, buddy, it doesn't smell like fresh mountain air in here either. That's because I bring stuff home from dumpsters." The explanation was almost comprehensive. Oh, well, that clears everything up. She was running Satan's errands. Can we ask which ones? Falcon licked his lips and began to count his long, thin fingers, besides keeping company with some... I thought I heard something weird. Some highly suspicious people. She brought animals home and slaughtered them at night. She constantly invited fortune tellers over, and she did God knows what with them. Her apartment alternated between laughter and howling. She brewed nauseating concoctions and took them to work. She roamed cemeteries at night and collected mold from graves. This seems strange and not religious at all. Maybe she was trying to cast a love spell on Malek? Where'd you get all this information? For the most part, I found the answers to my questions in her trash bags. You wouldn't believe how much you can learn about a person by rummaging through their waste. I can even estimate how heavy and long her periods were. Don't. Incredible. That's an understatement. Also eavesdropped on her when she was home. Oh, and I managed to hack into her browser history. And, of course, good old-fashioned surveillance. Does she really not notice? That's certainly creepy, but useful for us. And his behavior is inexcusable. But I feel sorry for him. Okay, I'm doing Malek, so... skeptic. Probably the useful one, I'm thinking. To be fair, he wasn't entirely wrong. She did worship the beast. She was also absolutely terrified of her boss. The amusement finally vanished from David's face. He looked at the young man with curiosity and seriousness. How did you come to that conclusion? She went out of her way to hide her failed task from him. She replaced human blood with animal blood. She dug through cemeteries for bones. She didn't have the guts to kill a person. She even burned letters that she couldn't deliver to their recipients. Letters? What letters? Falcon rummaged through the table littered with receipts and torn pages. He pulled out charred scraps from the mess. The contrast between the meticulous way he sorted evidence and the chaos he lived in was striking. Melody reached for the neat bundle of burned letters and envelopes. Of course, you can't find a full address on these scraps, but I managed to piece it together. What's at that address? A monastery. Like the one that we saw a child version of Malek in? Old and closed. The nuns wouldn't let me in. Even though I told them that I was trying to save the world from the coming of Satan and was living next door to one of his followers. Maybe they didn't hear you. Maybe. Anyway, I didn't smell that musty stench there, so I didn't force my way in. I think the devil wanted to tempt those nuns. Cassio took the address, which was written on a piece of paper, from the apartment's owner without saying a word. Sure, take it. I've got plenty of copies. I always make 5 or 6 copies of every piece of information. Thanks for your time, but I'm afraid we have to go. As if finally snapping out of it, the young man jumped. By the way, who are you, and why did you barge into her apartment? I mean, at this point, is it really on you to ask? Like, shouldn't you have asked that before you gave us all that information? I mean... Oh, time. We don't want to say we're her friends. We're investigating murders connected to your neighbor's boss. Goodness gracious, that is fascinating. Hope I was at least a little helpful. You smell of salvation, a faint aroma of rose oil. Thanks. Not you. Her. If you need any more help, find me. I'm willing to do anything. Melody nodded uncertainly. We could bring him to Astrea right now. He fit in perfectly. Before they left, she glanced at the horrifying wall. When the police come to question him, they'll change suicide to possible murder. Yeah, why don't you put them somewhere else? Listen, Falcon. The police will be here soon, so you better take down the photos of your neighbor. At least put them in a cabinet for now, so they can't be seen from the door. As if not understanding why, the young man shrugged and said, "All right." Good. Falcon didn't see his guests out or lock the door behind them. David decided to voice everyone's opinion of the encounter. Charming guy. Melly didn't see anything charming about him. If he's hallucinating smells, he could be experiencing phantosmia? Lord, I don't know how to remember. Or olfactory hallucinations. I mean, talking about smells, you always talk about how people smell. What do you mean? That's a normal thing for you. Like, she literally went around and, like, placed a smell to every character in the whole thing, in the whole story. Well, either that or it's just another trick straight out of your world. No, it's not some kind of superpower. I think he's just a little odd. Some fanatic managed to learn more about this woman than we did. Don't be upset, Cassio. If you'd rummaged through her trash, you'd know just as much. To avoid running into the police, the group decided to leave through the back exit. The crowd outside was buzzing and growing at an astonishing rate. Every passerby felt compelled to stop and etch the memory of someone's demise into their mind, to later recount the story over and over in a voice trembling with excitement, and to sincerely believe that they had witnessed death with their own eyes that day, that they had managed to deceive the Reaper. He had passed them by, only brushing the hem of his long mantle against them. Sometime later. Uh-oh. Usually when it says sometime later, I hope I didn't miss any scenes. If I did, I'll have to add it in. Before heading down to report to Mikael, Melody decided to quickly wash off the dust and grime from Falcon's apartment. She grabbed the first outfit that came to hand so as not to delay the others. I think this will do. For Malek, so we'll go with this one. Ooh, I like that. Okay. Oh. Oh. Mm-hmm. Okay. I think we're gonna go with the dominatrix ponytail. Yeah. Now, off to the meeting. They decided to leave for the monastery at dawn. Mikael thought it would be a good idea to bring along the only woman in their group, so they decided to fly. All residents were rewarded with a free evening. This is a Mikael scene that I lost. The Archangel's gaze remained fixed on her. Melody interpreted it as a request to stay. When all their colleagues left the office, Mikael did indeed step closer to her. May I ask what your plans are for the evening? The abrupt change in mood caught her off guard. Her eyebrows raised in surprise. That depends on what you want to suggest. Mikael didn't tease her. He answered directly. I'd like to steal you away for a date. I remember I promised you one. I'm sorry it took me so long to find the time. Melody couldn't believe her ears. She didn't answer right away, and Mikael didn't rush her. This is so unexpected. If you need time to get ready, I'll wait. Should I change into something more formal? The grandiosity painted by her imagination made Mikael smile. Where I'm taking you, it'll be just the two of us. But even if we were going to a ball right now, you'd be the main attraction. Melody blushed at the prospect of their seclusion. In that case, I'm ready. Anticipation gleamed in Mikael's eyes with a light, playful sparkle that she'd never seen before. Melody followed him without hesitation. Oh! Interesting. So, like I said, it's a slow burn over. Melody had never wondered if the residents of Astrea owned property outside the agency. That's why the place Mikael had taken her to left her deeply impressed. A modern mansion deep in the forest, built in a contemporary style, it suited its owner perfectly. It radiated voluntary solitude and quiet grandeur. As Melody looked around the combined kitchen and living room, Mikael observed his guest. He admired her features, her graceful movements, her gentle smile. Melody did notice the Archangel pulling out a small box. He approached her from behind and wrapped his arms around her weightlessly, presenting her with a gift. As soon as we agreed to spend time together, I kept waiting for a chance to invite you here. I must have imagined this moment far too many times. Give me a minute to listen to the music. It's really nice. It's like romantic, kind of slightly triumphant, very like light notes. Yeah. I feel like I'm hearing a lot of new music that I haven't heard before. Am I tripping? I need to go back and like note which songs belong to who. Must imagine this moment far too many times. I hope this piece of jewelry will be a pleasant reminder of this evening. Melody inhaled his scent and barely resisted the urge to lean her back against his chest. Their fingers brushed as she carefully took the box from his hands. Mikael instinctively leaned in a little closer. He breathed in the scent of her hair before gently pulling away. Melody ran her fingertips over the stones. Add to your wardrobe. Thank you. What is it? Is it something like long sleeve? Something like, is it a bracelet? Is it a necklace? Oh. Let's put it on. So what will we do here? Goodness. That's fancy. Her voice came out a little too playful. Mikael appreciated it. First, I'll make us dinner. Have a seat. I didn't know you cook. Because I don't show up in the communal kitchen? Mikael rolled up his sleeves and tied his hair back into a ponytail. It was already in a ponytail. Melody couldn't help but admire the veins on his arms. He brought me to the middle of nowhere just to feed me. As he arranged the ingredients on the wide countertop, Mikael occasionally glanced in her direction. Are you nervous? Don't be. After working at the agency as long as I have, you also want a house in the forest, far away from everyone. That's tempting. When I'm alone. House is big, and a place like this would feel a little scary. Maybe this house isn't made for a family, but it will be perfectly comfortable for the two of us. What do you think? Melody could have spent her entire life with him, even at Astrea, and she wouldn't even dream of such an offer. I'm sure it would be. Mikael handled both the knife and the frying pan with equal skill. The room gradually filled with a pleasant aroma of spices and olive oil. This is definitely different from breakfast at Astrea. Mikael turned away from the stove. He opened a tall, narrow wine cabinet filled to the rim with bottles. What kind of wine do you prefer? I'll trust your taste. Mikael thought for a moment before opening a nearby cabinet and pulling out a seemingly old bottle. That's quite a collection. Hope we don't have to leave the car here and call a taxi. Don't worry, Melanie. We don't get drunk on earthly alcohol. You don't. Besides, I wasn't planning on returning to Astrea tonight. Really now? Oh, so in the morning then. The pause that followed gave them both time to process the veiled suggestion. Melody expressed her agreement by focusing on the least important detail. Now I see why David has a whole bar and you don't seem to mind. I enjoy the taste of wine. He likes the taste of spirits. That's all there is to it. Over a glass of wine, time passed a little faster. Melody entertained her personal chef with conversation that became a little more relaxed with each sip. Mikael couldn't shake the strange thought that such a simple thing could bring him such immense pleasure. It gave him a sense of peace he had thought long forgotten. Who would have guessed all it took was putting Mikael in the kitchen to get him to relax. The Archangel noticed her smile. He stepped around the counter and stood next to her and held out a spoon. Will you try it? Melody parted her lips and tasted the tangy berry sauce. It needs more sugar. Really? The genuine surprise on his face made her burst into laughter. Try it yourself. You know, she doesn't often smile like that. To be fair, this is a horror story. Mikael gently wiped the corner of her lips with his thumb, but didn't pull his hand away. And Melody... His fingers slowly tangled in her hair, and his hand rested on the back of her neck. Melody leaned toward him for a kiss. Deep, passionate, with the sour taste of blackberries. She broke away only to whisper, "That's much sweeter." Mikael didn't respond to her joke. The long-awaited intimacy clouded his thoughts. All of them, so different, had one thing in common: the desire to kiss her again. To experience what it meant to give himself completely, not to duty, but to another being. To follow not the will of another, but only his own longing. The unfortunate kitchen utensil was discarded on the counter. Right now, the Archangel only wanted to hold this mortal woman. He wanted to let his hand slide over her waist, moving higher. He wanted to gather her hair at the top of her head, so she would expose her inviting neck to his kisses. Melody felt his desires and willingly let them come to life. Mikael's demanding lips grazed her collarbones. His tongue traced a path through the alluring hollow between her breasts. Our dinner is in danger. Mikael lifted her by her thighs, the room blurring around them in the haze of his desire-filled eyes. One more minute. A minute turned into 2. It flowed smoothly into 3, and then time entirely dissolved in their tender touches. Mikael carefully lowered her onto the couch and leaned over her. Her former shyness burned away under the intensity of his fiery gaze, and Melody reached for his shirt. The mere thought of undressing her unapproachable boss made her lower belly ache with desire. Mikael's movements grew sharp and impatient. He tossed his shirt aside and grasped her wrists firmly. He kissed her fingers hurriedly and raised her hands above her head. Tell you, we're gonna have to get the blurring. With his free hand, he began to undress her. Melody barely had time to take in the sight that was finally revealed to her. The Archangel's torso, as if sculpted from stone, his taut chest, it all seemed unreal. As if he had stepped out of a painting, perfect, chiseled, so breathtakingly beautiful. Melody hardly noticed when she was stripped bare. Touching his bare skin felt almost sacrilegious, as if she were committing blasphemy. Mikael helped her overcome this invisible barrier. He released her wrist and guided her hand to his chest. He let her feel the frantic beating of his heart. You're perfect, Melody. I've never met anyone more beautiful. Not in heaven, not in hell. It was hard to believe that the heart of this flawless being was pounding so fiercely because of her. His hand slid down to her knee and gently moved it aside. Her own heart seemed to stop beating altogether. He didn't ask if she was ready. He could feel it in every fiber of her being as it responded to his touch. He felt the same thing, an intense obsession that yearned for release. But when she called his name, softly, pleadingly, he held back his urge to claim her immediately. His burning heart flesh was so close to hers that Melody could feel the heat radiating from him. She longed for his first tender touch and the dizzying sensation of being filled. Tell me what you want. His unusually husky voice shattered every barrier. Melody forgot what exactly had stopped her only moments before. The chasm, the prohibitions, the differences, or perhaps the noticeable smell of their burning dinner. None of it mattered. They burned much hotter. Full tilt. She exhaled the end of her request in a moan. Mikael entered her fully in one smooth, deliberate motion. Sharp, intense pleasure forced her eyes shut. Melody arched her back, but when the archangel began to make slow, sensual movements, her eye flew open. It's so easy to lose myself in you, Melody. To forget everything in your tender arms, to get lost in your moans. She, too, felt barely grounded in her own body. Sensations so intense and incredible seemed to go far beyond the physical. She felt true bliss and was overwhelmed with joy to know that she could give him the same feelings. Mikael alternated between slowing down and quickening his pace. The only constant was his gentle hands, gliding over her back and neck, pulling her closer. Melody didn't hold back. She expressed her emotions with loud moans and quiet confessions. Both drove the Archangel crazy. He would love to listen to her voice, saturated with pleasure, forever. He never wanted to pull away from her body, trembling beneath him. Their peak of pleasure was so close, but he fought to prolong their long-awaited intimacy. Only when she quivered under him, biting her lips so seductively, so hard, did he finally release the tension. The wave of ecstasy swept over them simultaneously. His soft hair fell onto her sweat-glistened chest as Mikael breathed heavily against her damp neck. Melody wrapped her arms around his broad back and let him rest his full weight on her. She felt his heaviness and closed her eyes. If only I could stay here with him forever. By the time Mikael stood up and helped her up as well, a faint smog was already spreading through the room. Together they approached the stove and assessed the extent of the culinary tragedy without a hint of regret. Looks like our dinner's burned. Mikael carelessly dumped the pan and his contents into the sink before turning back to her. He buried a satisfied smile in her neck and whispered without pulling away. To hell with it. We'll order something from a restaurant. Not many people like my cooking anyway. Melody stretched like a cat, exposing her neck to his heated kisses. Now I'm even more curious to try it. I mean, to be fair, we did try his recommendations at that one party, and they were horrible. Every single one. Don't worry, I'll make you breakfast. Mikael pulled her close and lifted her by her thighs, pressing her against his body. Melody wrapped her legs around his waist obediently. Let's go to the bedroom, Melody. Let's make this night feel endless. Mikael didn't use the stairs to reach the second floor. He flew. To Melody, it felt like she was being placed down on the bed directly from heaven. And just a moment later, she plunged back into soft clouds. Mikael gave her unimaginable sensations. Gentle caresses shifted to passionate intensity, fiery kisses to sensual touches. The sweet torment lasted all night. Morning greeted the lovers with warm sunlight and the soft singing of forest birds. Mikael brewed coffee while Melody opted to take over cooking breakfast. No one trusts his cooking. What do you think about taking a vacation once everything is over? Mikael took her in his arms every now and then, leaving kisses on her skin. You still be here after everything is over? I thought you were supposed to be going back to heaven. Melody tried to think about the fact that beyond the walls of this house, he would have to resume his role as her superior. Have you ever taken a vacation? I never had a reason to. Butterflies fluttered in her stomach. She felt like crying with happiness. Maybe there really is a place for us in this world. But as sweet as it was to dream of freedom, duty called them back to the world they needed to save. Mikael's begun to dream of a future with you. Your relationship has improved. After walking her to her room, Mikael left to prepare for their assignment. Melody was overwhelmed with love. She could barely focus on what she needed to do. Her thoughts were consumed by the archangel. Melody turned up the light and climbed into her cold bed. She wondered how hard it was for mere mortals to reach God if even his son couldn't. How much easier would it be to summon the devil? Melody stared into the darkness so intently that for a moment, she actually thought she saw a predatory gaze staring back at her. Malek? Oh, this could be an exclusive Malek scene. She whispered his name like her deepest secret, quietly, with a hint of anguish. Guilt burned instantly through her insides. To even speak the enemy's name on the walls of Astrea felt wrong. How can I long for him? How can I dream of hearing his voice? Crave the touch of his hands on my body? Melody shook her head, and his image did not disappear. This time she called his name confidently and tenderly. If I pray to you, Malek, will you come to me? She closed her eyes so as not to see the oppressive emptiness. She imagined him in intricate detail. Her heartbeat quickened as she thought she caught a trace of his scent. I'd love to? Said by Melody? Okay, maybe she said I'd love to feel his hands on me. Okay, I got it. I like how it's hazy because it's kind of more like a dream. To go back to when he was teaching, in the back of her mind there was a naive thought that back then she still had a chance to reach his heart. Could I have saved him from himself? His sneering voice echoed so clearly in her mind. No. Her imagination vividly recreated a long-forgotten image of the enigmatic professor. He appeared before her as he was, without any romantic embellishments. She immediately felt hot under her blanket. Oh, clear that. He would have locked the office door, just as he did then, creating an illusion of inevitability. But in reality, all the exits were blocked off long ago. And I can't escape this train. Malek looked at her. He was smiling as if taunting her. His beautiful, desirable body was barely hidden beneath thin fabric. The straps on his arms outlined his muscles. Melody allowed her fantasies to draw herself closer to him. She imagined her knee brushing against his as Malek's legs spread slightly wider. You don't seem interested in absorbing the lessons I'm teaching you, Melody. The leather of his belt cracked, taut in his hands. Her lower abdomen was the first to respond to his intimate whisper. It pulsed with desire. Melody lifted the thin fabric of her nightgown. Her fingers covered her swollen clit. Come here. It was her fantasy, and he spoke to her as she wished, authoritatively, lustfully. Even when he was seated deep within her thoughts, he managed to suppress her will. She wanted only one thing, to obey, to catch his every breath and eagerly fulfill his every desire. Melody imagined herself getting on top of the professor. The rough, aged leather of his belt brushed against the nape of her neck, drawing them closer together. The burning cold of a metal buckle brushed against her throat. The noose tightened around her neck. Unzip my pants. His voice came out hoarse and breathy. Melody obeyed without question. Her closed eyelids trembled. She squeezed them shut even tighter. The image before her was too enticing. It was impossible to resist the temptation. She imagined his straining cock. She felt it against her skin as her hand ran along its entire length. She imagined catching his sigh of approval. She imagined guiding the tip, so tender and hot, toward herself. Then him filling her, slowly, sensually, deeply. Her fingers mirrored the motions her body craved. Melody slid them slowly inside, biting her lip. So lustful, so desirable. In her imagination, the belt tightened further, but it was getting harder to breathe in real life as well. Melody imagined herself rising slightly. She pulled her fingers out and spread her wetness over the pulsating spot. Malek entered her again in one rough, greedy motion. His free hand cupped her breasts. Melody mimicked his movement with her own. His fingers pinched her nipple alongside hers. Melody moaned softly, enjoying the slight sting of pain. How could you leave me? Her weakness had his face. She wanted to let it out so badly. To rid herself of Malek, to drive him from her core along with the pain he had caused. To crack open her ribcage so he could leave with her blood. As long as he stopped torturing her with his unseen presence. Melody. I'll never leave you. Never. Melody pressed closer to him in her dream. She pushed herself into the bed with her own hands. Desperate for release, she worked her fingers faster. Melody arched her back. The words that echoed in her head with his voice were too sweet, so intoxicating that it was impossible to believe them. You're dead. You're not coming back. You abandoned me. Never. You're mine. And only mine. Look into the darkness and you'll see me there. I will fill every cell of your being, penetrate your every thought. The orgasm hit her with an unexpected blinding flash. Melody released her breast and bit her finger to stifle her sigh. The darkness was pierced by vivid, colorful spots that brought her long-awaited peace. Malek's image dissolved, but her pain remained. If he was really behind my door, how far would I go for my own whims? Would I let him into my bedroom? Warn him, hide him, never let him go? Even if they were just thoughts, they felt far too dangerous now. It was as if with every word she whispered in her mind, the barrier somnus had built was crumbling. I must not give in to... Melody hesitated. She had almost said a truly terrifying word. She corrected herself, though even she didn't believe her words. To desires, lustful and dirty. Think about Malek more and more, it's not just about sex. You can still try to figure out your feelings. Okay. Melody replayed the different possible endings of that battle in the church 100 times in her head. Ones where Malek wasn't pierced by the spear, and his body didn't dissolve into darkness. I could have tried to stop him. The words that might have convinced him to stop eluded her even now. I don't have that kind of power over him. We're connected only by desires of the flesh. You don't even believe that yourself, Melody. Malek's voice rang so clearly in her head that she was embarrassed by her own thoughts. I should have bound you, chained you, restrained you. Bound me. The words shattered into fragments and came back to life in an unusual way. Her desire to protect him wrapped his toned body in thick rope. It bound the hands that had caused so much harm. This is what you really dream of. His smile made her flush with heat. Melody also imagined a leash. Right. Like we're watching something we shouldn't. Malek accepted her gift with dignity. A spark of genuine curiosity lit up in his eyes. How far would she go in her fantasies? Tell me, Melody, what's it like? To feel power, to have control over another being. Do you like seeing me like this? The ropes looked just like the most exquisite jewelry on him. Even though the collar was around his neck, she felt like she was the one being led. Even in his state, he doesn't lose his essence. Malek bit his lip. Melody blushed at her own thoughts. Go on, make me kneel before you. Command me to caress you, to love you, to worship you, to kiss your breasts, your slender neck, your tender lips. Isn't that what you want? Her heart raced. Melody didn't notice that her mouth filled with the salty taste of blood. I'm willing to play any game that will make you moan and tremble in ecstasy. Her bleeding lip throbbed. Melody bit into the small wound again and again, tried to drown out her thoughts with a light, pleasant ache. She wanted him to be both gentle and rough, to leave wet kisses and painful bites on her skin. She wanted to submit and to dominate. She needed him. All of him. And that sharp yearning tore her body apart. So what drives you, my precious? The questions she had asked herself so cautiously hung in the air. She no longer wanted to tie his hands, to tighten the ropes further. She wanted to free him from his bonds, from his role. But then it wouldn't be you. It wouldn't be me. Melody stared at her fantasy. She tried to understand why she was attracted to Malek. Did she share his thoughts? But his alluring image muddled all words. His illusory vulnerability held her gaze captive. Or maybe it's you who longs to show me tenderness, to prove how pleasant love can be. Do you want to force affection into me? Malek burst into laughter. Melody tried to rid herself of his brazen image, to wipe the smirk from his face, but the desire to see him, to hear him, to feel him went out. Melody spoke barely above a whisper. Her eyes remained closed. I accept you as you are, Malek, with all your flaws. The corner of his lips finally dropped. His amusement was gone. Her fantasy couldn't conjure a response. Malek's image dissolved. If he offered me his hand now, would I take it? For the first time, Melody felt relieved that Malek wasn't really there. That she didn't actually have to make that choice between her friends or her own desires. I hope I never have to choose. It's getting harder for you to resist Malek no matter who he is. There's a lot more to you than you thought. Melody forced herself to push away all carnal desires. Beneath a thick layer of denial lay the truth, one too difficult to face. Admitting your feelings to yourself is the hardest part. Melody imagined herself confronting the real reason for her turmoil. Her mind put Malek in a relaxed, teasing, provocative pose. So it's my fault that you want to stand beside me. The first timid thought crossed her mind. No, not just yours. Then something else drew you to me. What was it, Melody? One look from him was enough to pierce a hole in her heart. Confessions poured out of it. As a child, I wasn't allowed to feel anger. All struggles, punishments, and pain were blessings to be thankful for. God was testing our resilience, and we prayed for his trials. They gave us the right to prove our love. You've been bottling up your anger at the world since childhood. You repressed it within you. A little more and it'd tear you apart. Melody swallowed hard. She imagined how freeing it would be, not only to endure punishment, but to inflict it. To repay every hurt, every pain. Not just to your father, but to the whole world. I can arrange that. Malek was both a tempting serpent and a knight with a bloody sword. Melody craved his protection, but she couldn't silence her deepest fear. Once you protected me from the world, who will protect me from you? Malek didn't respond. There was no suitable words in her mind. His image dissolved into the darkness. Melody suppressed the urge to bring him back. She forced herself to think of something else. And to try to sleep. Begin to understand yourself and your feelings more. A faint breath touched her neck. Melody squeezed her eyes shut. If you are truly evil, then I'll harbor nothing but this feeling. I'll be angry with you, Malek, for being on the other side. For bringing ruin to this world. For abandoning me. The breath brushed her lips so tangibly that Melody opened her eyes. Only the silent night stared back at her. The darkness in the corner thickened, but no one reached out to her. Did I imagine it? Her mind assured her that it was only the wind that had somehow crept into her room through the closed window. Yet her skin prickled with tiny needles. Was he here? Malek was her fresh wound. It was one she reopened again and again with masochistic pleasure. She was bleeding, but she couldn't stop herself. This can't go on. Melody promised herself that she would regain control later. She wrapped herself tightly in her blanket. It wasn't until dawn approached that her thoughts took pity on her and retreated. She finally drifted off to sleep. Okay, interesting. We're mentioning Felonia here. So I wonder if we should switch over to Felonia to see. Okay, that was interesting. Once again, I'm in a feel conflicted about it. But we did find out some interesting stuff about Audrey here. She wasn't allowed to feel anger. She's been kind of repressed all this time. That's interesting. Once she found herself in her bedroom, Melody was overcome by a feeling of emptiness. Everything that had once brought her joy had lost its meaning. Nothing tied her to this room anymore. Mentally, she was already elsewhere. A flicker of hope still burned in her soul as Melody abruptly rose from her bed. She left one bedroom for another without hesitation or worry. Melody gently knelt before the angel and reached out for his cool hands. But he's been in here the whole time? Serenity was etched into his features. Only his slowly healing scars reminded her that the mask frozen on his face was deceptive. Once she was alone with him, helplessness filled her soul again. Her legs felt weak. Only his quiet, barely perceptible breathing kept her from falling completely into the abyss. Please, tell me how to help you. How to take away your pain. How to lose myself where you are, with you. Melody paid no mind to the tears streaming down her cheeks as she tenderly wiped invisible lines from his face. Her fingers traced the unhealed scars. She imagined absorbing his pain with her touch. Her voice was hoarse with grief and sounded unfamiliar. I love you, Raphael. And I'll wait for you as long as it takes. I'll wait for all the time I have in this world. The angel didn't move. Melody rested her forehead on the bedsheet, wet with her tears. It's late. I need to sleep. We have a hard day ahead of us tomorrow. I should stay. Melody was afraid to disturb his wounds, still unhealed. She sat carefully on the edge of the bed. The angel lay on his back. His hands, cut by light, rested on his slowly rising chest. Melody slowed her own breathing, matching his rhythm so that they inhaled in unison. Tomorrow we'll be leaving on an assignment, but I'll return to you soon, I promise. His pose was so reminiscent of a lifeless body, it deepened her overwhelming despair. Melody gently removed his hands from his chest. She rested her head on his shoulder and covered herself with his heavy, unresponsive arm. I'll sleep here with you tonight, if you don't mind. His weight pressed comfortably against her waist. It reminded her that he was still a living being. Melody intertwined her fingers with his cold ones. She inhaled the lingering scent of meadow flowers that hadn't faded. She pressed closer to him. I know you don't have dreams, but I wish I could come to you in one. To comfort you, to tell you that everything is all right, to stay with you there until you open your eyes. Raphael's breath barely brushed her hair. His cool skin refused to warm. Melody closed her eyes. To keep from losing my mind, I think every day about where we'll go together when you wake up. I already have a long list. Her quiet whisper echoed her fleeting thoughts. We won't fly on wings or a plane. We'll travel on the ground so you can see all the colors. I'll show you peaceful, cozy villages that surround vibrant, noisy cities. We'll swim in rivers, lakes, seas, and oceans. You'll taste every dish, hear music from every continent. You'll savor the culture created by human hands. And I'll admire the happiness in your eyes. I love you so much in every corner of this world. Not even your father would dare keep us apart. As she drifted off to sleep, she felt almost as if his hand was pulling her closer. Or perhaps she was pressing against him in unconscious desperation. The desperation I was talking about in last episode. Melody clung to the image of the angel awakening for as long as she could. Only when that vision dissolved in her hands did her mind take pity on her and let the pain subside for a few hours. In the morning, Melody did not open her eyes right away. She listened to the new day before plunging into it. She tried to catch a joyful sign in the rustling sounds, a change in breathing, a movement. Only after several minutes did she allow herself to open her eyes and get up. She covered the angel with the blanket and left a gentle but lingering kiss on his cold lips. I'll be back soon, Raphael. Melody memorized his image, then left to prepare for the assignment. Wherever Raphael is now, he feels your longing and is drawn to you. She did something different. After the meeting, she did not go back to her room. We weren't in the hallway last time. Melody wondered what to do with her free evening. She wandered into the living room. A thick oak door muffled soft voices and uneven breathing. She couldn't help but listen. Is that somnus and furius? Leave! Lord. Melody carefully cracked the door open and stumbled upon a tender scene. The superiors were pressed closely against each other as they sat on a wide sofa by the window. Somnus was tracing intricate patterns with his fingertips across Furius's bare chest. In response, Furius gripped his slender legs as they rested on his lap. Just like regular normal people. Embarrassed by their closeness, Melody began to hurry away, but Furious's voice interrupted her escape. Didn't I teach you to knock, you miserable creature? His voice was laced with contempt, but not malice. Furius seemed utterly exhausted. Somnus turned to look at her over his shoulder, graceful and smooth. His silky voice reached her and wrapped her in goosebumps. Come sit with us. Tell us about your nights without nightmares. Melody backed away apologetically, her voice barely audible. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to intrude. The men returned to their activities as if nothing had happened, as if she had vanished. Well, they certainly aren't shy about having witnesses like me. Melody carefully closed the door and retreated to her room. Maybe they even like being watched. Your relationship has improved. She spent the rest of the night reading. Without realizing it, she fell asleep with the book in her hands. Before she went downstairs, Melody thought that just a week ago, Felonia would have kept her company. The image of the demon kept coming to her as soon as she was alone. I fall asleep and wake up with the same thoughts. Melody paused in the middle of the room, clutching her phone. A strange feeling crept in. The knowledge that if she left this place, Felonia wouldn't be able to find her. It felt foolish and naive. She's not looking for me. And she has her reasons. Melody was afraid of their possible conversation, but what scared her even more was that it might never happen. I just want to hear her voice. Melody gripped her phone tighter. She had little hope as she dialed Felonia's number. The long beeps were interrupted by the lifeless voice of an automated voicemail in the system. Melody considered hanging up, but for some reason she couldn't bring herself to do so. Have we ever heard this music before? It sounds super sad. Let me know if we've heard this before. But the tone I'm getting from it is like really sad. I don't know. Somehow it's making me a little emotional. Kind of make me want to cry. Herself to do so. She wanted to tell Felonia that she was traveling from Astrea, as if it mattered to either of them. Struggling to keep her voice steady, Melody began hesitantly. Fel, it's me, Melody. She wanted to say that she forgave Fel for the betrayal, but deep down she knew that Felonia didn't need forgiveness. Yeah, she does. I'm not over it. She did what she had to do. Did she? I don't understand. I need an explanation. She wanted to tell her how much she missed her, but the fear of facing indifference held her back. Even worse would be to find a mutual longing that would endanger her with the desire to meet. She can't return to Astrea, and I can't abandon everything to follow her. The silence dragged on. Melody confessed. I think about you every minute, Fel. I wonder where you are, what you're doing, how you're feeling. If Malek was able to help you. If you found your family. Melody held her emotions back and chose her words carefully. You've probably thrown this phone away by now, and this is probably foolish. But I don't know any other way to reach you. The time allotted for the recording was running out. She had to hurry. I'm not trying to ask you to do anything that could put you at risk. I don't want to play the judge and take sides. I just want to know that you're alright. Just know it will be enough. That's all I want. The recording was interrupted, but there was no dial tone. Instead, a quiet voice responded. I'll visit you soon, Melody. You and the others. She was alive. She was all right. But her words brought no relief. Her heart, which ached day after day, was not soothed. If anything, it was pierced by sharp fear. Is she going to show up here? Melody dialed Fel's number again with trembling hands. But this time, the lifeless voice of the automated voicemail system informed her that the caller was unavailable. God, what am I supposed to do with this information? I will always be on her side. Don't believe that Fel wants to harm us. Was wrong about her. She's an enemy. Guess I don't know her at all. I'm with the guess I don't know her at all. I also don't want to believe that she would harm us, but she sided with the people that hurt me. I don't think Malek is not involved in that too. That's another reason why I'm like him at arm's length in my mind. Mr. Say foul. Melody pressed her lips together stubbornly and began typing a message. Even if she doesn't read it, at least I'll be able to express my feelings. And maybe I'll feel a little better. It was difficult to start. Her thoughts were confused and refused to form words. She wrote and erased her confession over and over. No, I can't pressure her. What if she breaks down, flies to me, and does something reckless? Or what if she decides it's not worth the risk to see me at all? Melody didn't know which was worse. If I really love her, can I allow myself this weakness? Can I endanger her because of my selfish desire to see her? Her feelings whispered back. Because of my desire to hold her? I left to stroke her hair and whisper that everything will be alright. To kiss her and fall asleep by her side. I want to matter to her. For her to share even half of the feelings I have for her. Melody put the phone down. She was unable to confess and unwilling to provoke Fel. If I have to, I'll love you from afar. I will wait for you as long as it takes, Fel, and I would not act recklessly or be driven by emotion. I will keep all of my feelings bottled up, and I will only release them when we meet again. Melody tried not to think about what she might have to do for the demon. Somehow, she felt that Felonia would never force her to make such a difficult choice. I believe in you, Fel. I trust that you know what you're doing. No doubt your feelings for Fel, your relationship improved. Melody gave herself some time. She decided to talk to Mikael about what she'd heard later. I'll tell him when we get to the assignment. Or maybe I won't tell him at all. Alright. The stone walls of the monastery were covered in moss and soaked with the whispers of centuries-old prayers. The voices of hundreds of women reached this day through space and time, creating a blessed atmosphere. A blessed atmosphere? Then why does the sound like that? Why it look like this? The sanctity of the place was palpable in everything. Even the sea seemed to carry echoes of secret knowledge with the salty breeze. I thought they let us in. Melody adjusted her uncomfortable, modest clothing. I hope my outfit won't offend the residents of this place. Okay, we changed clothes. Ooh, I like the sleeves. I love this. I love everything about this dress. David and Castle split up to explore the grounds. We never had that, right? Like 2 outfit choices in one episode? Mikael asked about the path leading to the main entrance. We didn't think of a convincing reason for them to come out to us. You could admit that you're an archangel, of course, but I'm afraid I wouldn't believe you. Mikael smiled at her. We're not the heavenly beings they pray to within these walls anyway. If they knew the truth about us, they might stop believing in God altogether. Or perhaps they find themselves a different one. Fortunately, they didn't have to make up a reason for the doors to open for them. Dark silhouettes of the monastery's inhabitants appeared in the distance. Noticing the strangers, the woman abruptly changed their route and headed toward the back courtyard. Only one figure moved toward them. It's probably the abbess. A young woman with pleasant features approached them. She greeted them with a soft smile, but the severity of her gaze prevented them from relaxing. The nun was on her guard. Good thing we sent Cassio and David away. Good afternoon. Yeah, she looks a little scary. Her voice was warm and melodic, but there was commanding undertones. Good afternoon. Mikael placed his hand on his chest and bowed slightly. The woman looked them over discreetly, trying to figure out the reason for their presence. How can I help you? We're looking for information about a boy who lived here a long time ago. The nun didn't look offended, but the warmth disappeared from her voice. This is a woman's monastery. There are no men here. I'm not talking about men. I'm talking about a child. He's practically accused them of breaking their vow of chastity. Look, this was a long time ago. This is very important. We're not saying that one of you was his mother. Is the last one skeptic? For once, I'm not clear. I'm no clue. I can afford to mess up a little bit. To be fair, this is Felonia's save file. I don't have to get it perfect. Oh, I don't know. Or is his reputation? Oh man. I'm not used to being this lost. I genuinely don't know. I kind of just want to say this one to see what she'd say. Let's go with... And for a penny for a pound. Perhaps long ago, the nuns took in a pregnant woman. She may have hidden her condition and given birth within these walls. Skeptic. Okay, that rang a skeptic. It did ring a skeptic. Okay. My meters went off, but I can't tell which one was faith. The abbess pursed her lips as if withholding secrets. She won't tell us anything so easily. Mikael wasn't about to plead with her. He took a step closer and looked into her eyes. Fear flickered in them for a moment. This man sends letters to your address, but no one picks them up. Why? Her expression changed. The nun said, because everyone who knew him personally is already dead. And we don't want to be next. I see. Will you tell us where this child came from and where he disappeared to? The woman nodded and closed her eyes for a moment to gather her thoughts. Melody heard the entire story. So bright here. The trees are alive. Maybe it's fall. His mother crawled to our monastery in the dead of night decades ago, tortured and barely alive. There was so much terror in her eyes that none of the nuns dared to ask what had happened to her. Her body was covered in horrible wounds, but the woman couldn't look away. She was so beautiful. It seemed as if someone had tried with all their might to disfigure her, to rob her of her beauty, but they had failed. Please, let me come to God. That was all she said. Who could refuse her? Many thought she would die by morning, but she didn't. In fact, months later, she brought new life into the world. Her labor was agonizing. Her cries were gut-wrenching and almost animalistic. They lasted for over a day. Ugh. But the Lord seemed deaf to our prayers. Of course he did. She suffered so long and so terribly. Only when she began to beg God to take her soul did the ordeal finally end. The mother cried all the tears and absorbed all the pain, because when the boy was born, he made no sound. Is he alive? She didn't take him in her arms or give him a name. The nuns took pity on the unfortunate ones and allowed them to stay. But the older the boy grew, the more they regretted their decision. They had angered God, and he had abandoned this place for many years. How did you get here? He spoke little, but always listened intently. He was always close to the tragedies that became more frequent after his birth. The first woman hanged herself from the very tree we are standing near now. The second threw herself into the well. The third slit her throat. He's gathering souls for the beast. He's been doing it since he was a child. The fourth walked into the sea one day and drowned. The woman feared an ill fate and begged the abbess to cast those bringing misfortune out. Then the fifth sister hanged herself in her cell. Only didn't the abbess speak to the boy's mother. Her little son was always near the places where these young women met their ends. And when the mother and child left, the death stopped. It seems like a silly legend now, and frankly, I used to think so myself. I believed it was just a way to protect us from worldly desires. But then one day we received a letter. The sender asked us to give it to his mother. Inside was a picture of that very boy. What happened to his mother? She took her son and left. Sometimes they were seen near the house on the mountain, but those witnesses have long since grown old and returned to God. Could she still be alive? The abbess threw up her hands. No way. It's been so many years. People don't live that long. But if that boy is Malek, then she might be so beautiful because she might have been immortal. Mikael thanked her for her help. He watched the abbess with a thoughtful gaze as she walked away. Do you think his mother is still alive? Either way, we should check the house. Melody agreed. She obediently followed the archangel. The dilapidated structure looked as if no one had lived there for decades. A sagging roof, rotting planks. It was in total disrepair. The door seemed more like a decoration than something with function. It almost crumbled to dust when Mikael touched it. Melody thought that any remnant of the past could remain in such a place, but she was wrong. The past emerged to meet them as soon as they crossed the rotting threshold. A fragile figure appeared out of the darkness. Melody didn't even have time to be frightened. All her feelings were replaced by a single emotion: astonishment. Mikael recognized the house's resident. As it turned out, in a way, Melody was already acquainted with her too. Astrea? Was Astrea the Wait. She did kind of look like the statue, didn't she? And so the beast did that to her and gave her Malek, and then he immediately started preparing souls for the beast. And he used to not talk, but suddenly he's very talkative now. He doesn't shut up. Astrea? Ooh. Oh boy. Oh, that backstory is terrible. Wow. Like not terrible in that it's bad. I mean, it's bad because it's gruesome. It's like terrible in that it's gruesome. It reminds me. I don't know if you've ever seen like the first Nightmare on Elm Street. Like the story about how Freddy Krueger was born. It gives me that vibe. And if you know, you know. I'm not gonna talk about it because it was absolutely gruesome. Yeah, no. Wow. Oh man. Okay. But I thought there might be a Raphael scene, so I want to check, and I probably might have missed it, so I might have to add it in. If so, then I'll probably add it in earlier. There'll probably be like a little cut, and I'll add in anything that I missed. But yeah, okay. Whoa. We got a lot of backstory there, and now I'm curious to talk to her. Astrea is still alive. That's different. I wasn't expecting her to still be here. Oh, sweet cookie. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, even though it was that was a rough one. Yeah, and I'll see you next time. Find out more about Astrea. Bye.